이번 주에도 돌아온 한국어 영어 반반 팟캐스트 하프앤하프의 정태용입니다. 반갑습니다.
And I'm Katrina, and you're listening to Half and Half. Welcome.
네, 또 한 달 만에 나오셨죠?
I think so.
네, 아마 그럴 거예요. 네, 이번 주제는 뭐 항상 그러는 것 같은데 카트리나가 골라줬어요.
Yeah. So should I introduce the subject and topic and why I think it's kind of interesting?
네, 그러면 감사하겠습니다.
Okay, so I was thinking about how names are really different from culture to culture. So not just the names themselves, like there are very typical Norwegian names, very typical like British names, very typical Korean names. And anywhere you go, there's a set of names that you'll hear over and over again. And then every culture has unusual names. But then when you're learning a new language or like being exposed to a new culture, even the typical names in that culture tend to be really hard to remember. Like there's a feeling
그래요?
of like,
네.
wait, what did you say your name is? And feeling like it's hard to not even just grasp what a name sounds like sometimes, but also hard to remember what people are named. Like if you're watching a TV show or a movie
네.
and everybody has these foreign names, foreign to you names, it can be hard to remember who's who, who's named what, even if you recognize their faces. And so this is something that I've heard from a lot of people who are learning languages, especially if they're learning a language that is in a culture that's far from where they are. So the names themselves are an interesting point. And then also like how important are names to the culture? Like what does it reflect of the culture? How are people named? Who picks the names? What are the meanings of names? That sort of thing. So I thought it was a potentially interesting topic.
맞아요. 이거는 좀 프리미엄 에피소드라고 생각했습니다. 좀 수준이 높은 고급진 대화일 것 같아요.
Oops, yeah.
하긴 그 이름이 어떻게 그 문화에서 지어지는지를 보면 좀 많은 걸 알 수가 있죠. 네, 근데 그러니까 아까 그 카트리나가 처음에 한 얘기가 그 혹시 제가 이해한 게 맞다면 그러니까 예를 들어서 제가 노르웨이어를 배우기 전에는 그 노르웨이의 전형적인 흔한 노르웨이 이름에 대한 별로 생각이 없다가
Right.
노르웨이어를 배우기 시작하면 그 이름들이 어렵게 들린다는 말이에요?
I think so. So if
그렇구나.
you meet, you know, let's say you meet 5 different Norwegians and one of them says, "Oh, my name is Knut." Another one says, "My name is Björn." Another one says, "My name is Tore." Another one says, "My name is Ove." Like, and then there's one more, right?
네.
Whatever.
네.
It would be like of the names that I've said now. Do you remember any of them?
우바랑
Ove is one of them. Yeah.
뷰로?
Björn. It means
뷰런?
bear.
아,
Yeah, Björn.
뷰런? 유르겐? 아닌가 모르겠다.
Oh, that was not one of the ones I said. It is a very common Norwegian name, though.
그래요?
Yeah.
어디서 제가 들어봤나 봐요.
Yeah, probably.
오.
Yeah.
근데 이제 저는 지금 노르웨이어 안 배우잖아요.
Right.
근데 노르웨이어를 막 배우려고 하면 그때부터 이름이 더 어렵다는 말인가요?
Oh, I wouldn't say that they're more difficult because you're learning the language. It's more that like before learning the language, you might never have heard these names before at all. And so once you start learning the language and you're exposed to them, it's like
맞네. 그
they're kind
말이구나.
of weird and different and hard to remember.
맞아요.
Yeah.
하긴 그 언어를 배우기 전에는 다양한 이름에 신경을 쓸 일이 없으니까.
Exactly.
그 말이었군요.
Yeah. So when you went to Bangladesh, what was it like in terms of like names that of the students that you met or the people that you met in Bangladesh? Were the names unusual to you?
생소했죠, 되게.
Right.
그리고 그러니까 다른 부분이 너무 많아서
Right. So what were some of the
그래서-
differences?
그 단어 그러니까 이름 앞에요. 그냥 알파벳 몇 개를 붙인 사람이 있었고요. 제 기억에.
Uh-huh.
그러니까 그 자퍼이언 그냥 이름이 자퍼. 아이고 이거 제가 지금 발음하기 어려운데
Right.
자퍼인데 앞에 알파벳으로 ASM이 붙어 있었어요.
And do you know what the meaning of those letters were?
그걸 몰라요, 저도.
Yeah.
그 ASM 자퍼이래요, 이름이.
And so what do their friends call them? Do they say the whole thing? Oh, ASM Jaffer.
아니 그냥 그냥
Just
자퍼라고만.
Jaffer. So the ASM, was that something that would be on their identity card? Or,
아니 그 제가 그 아이디 카드를 본 적은 없는데
yeah.
근데 그 시험 등록할 때
Right.
본인 이름을 쓰잖아요.
Right.
근데 그렇게 쓰더라고요.
Huh. Interesting.
뭐 그런 적도 있었고
Yeah.
그리고 그게 좀 약간 그런 이슬람 문화권 나라 특징인 것 같은데
Right.
거기도 뭐 미들네임 같은 게 있더라고요.
Uh-huh.
뭐 무슨 중간 미들네임 성 이렇게.
Right.
근데 한 10명 중에 5명 이상이 무함마드였어요.
Right.
네,
Yep.
무함마드.
Yeah.
그래서 얘도 무함마드고 쟤도 무함마드고 다 무함마드라더라고요.
Yep.
그런 것도 생소했고.
Yeah. And so I guess that would be easy to remember.
근데 또 구분하기가 어렵죠. 쟤도 무함마드고 쟤도 무함마드니까.
Yeah.
네.
Did you ever have trouble remembering student names like in your class? How big were your classes usually?
한 30명 정도 됐어요.
Oh, okay.
네.
Yeah.
그래서 그게 비슷한 듯 다른 이름들이 있어서
Right.
그것들을 세세하게 기억하기가 좀 어려울 때가 있었죠.
Yeah. And did you
네.
feel like the Bangladeshis also had trouble remembering if the names were very similar, or to them was it just another day and an easy to remember?
그 사람들끼리요?
Mm-hmm.
없어 보이던데요?
Yeah.
네.
Yeah. That's how I feel with Korean names. It's like sometimes the names seem very similar to me, and I'm like having trouble remembering. Was it Jinho or Jinhak? You know.
그쵸. 맞아요.
Yeah.
뭐 태웅, 태영, 뭐 태욱, 뭐 이런 것도 있고.
Right.
네, 그런 게 많을 수 있죠.
Yeah.
근데 제 생각엔 노르웨이 같은 서구권 이름보다 이런 뭐 일본은 모르겠네. 뭐 그냥 한국으로 할게요.
Right.
한국 이름이 그런 이 헷갈리는 베리에이션이 더 많을 것 같아요.
So are you thinking like there's just more variation in the names themselves because you have your family name and then usually two characters or like two syllables, and those two syllables there's a lot of variation. You can kind of pick whichever syllables you want. Is that sort of where you're going with that?
네네, 맞아요.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
그쵸?
Yeah.
그 누구지?
Knut?
그노트?
Yeah.
뭐
Yeah.
크노트로 치면은
Yeah.
노르웨이에 뭐 크나트 뭐 이런 이름 없잖아요.
No, there's just
그냥
Knut.
크누트.
Yeah.
맞죠?
Exactly.
근데 태웅은 뭐 태운, 뭐 태영, 뭐 태일 뭐 이렇게
Yep.
될 수 있으니까.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right about that. In Norway, it's very rare that you would see a name that you've never seen before. Like there's a pool of names. There's a pool of names. Some are more common, some are less common. But if you meet someone who has a Norwegian name, it's probably
네.
a name that you've heard before.
아,
응.
그러면은 같은 이름을 가진 사람을 찾는 게 꽤 쉬운 편이겠네요.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like even in a small classroom, you usually have students that have the same name.
그래요? 작은 교실에서도?
Yeah.
근데 그렇게 같은 이름 가진 사람 보면은 좀 기분이 어때요?
I have no idea. I think it's just so normal. I don't think people really
그게
think
너무-
about it.
그게 너무 당연하니까.
Yeah.
어, 한국은 약간 만약에 뭐 학교에 같은 이름을 가진 애가 있다.
Yeah.
그러면 약간 좀 신경 쓰이거든요.
Oh, really?
뭔가 좀 비교당할 것 같고.
What if it's a common name, like sort of the classic Minsu or something like that? Would you be surprised if there are more than one?
민수 정도면 민수 정도면 뭐 그냥 그럴 수 있다 싶을 것 같아요.
Yeah. I feel like most
네.
names in Norway are kind of like that, where it's like, well, of course somebody else is going to be named that.
근데 막 그 부모님들이 아니다. 그러면 슬슬 다음 소주제로 넘어가죠. 그러면.
Yeah.
예. 그러면 이름을 어떻게 짓는지.
Ah, that's a great question.
네.
Yeah. So starting in Korea, who picks the name for a new baby?
보통 부모님이 일단 기본적으로 짓는데
Uh-huh.
부모님만 짓는 게 아니라 그 부모님들의 부모님들.
Right.
그러니까 예, 아기의 할아버지 할머니들
Mm-hmm.
그리고 뭐 사촌 친척
Right.
그 사람들이 다 모여서 지을 때도 있고요.
Uh-huh.
그리고 전문적으로 그 인간의 운명을 점치는 주술사들이
Right. So this would not
샤먼들이
be
있습니다.
Yeah, this would not be family members. This would be going to an outside source and seeking direction,
네.
I guess.
네, 그렇죠.
Yeah.
그 우주의 법칙을 연구하는 사람들이 있어요, 한국에.
Right. Yeah.
그러면은 이제 그 사람들이 막 이 하늘의 이 태양과 이 달과 별들과 이런 막 그 옛날 사람들의 그 막 한자와 이런 것들을 다 조합을 해서
Right.
딱 좋은 이름들을 몇 개 딱 뽑아서 줍니다.
Uh-huh.
예, 그리고 돈을 받죠. 그리고
Right.
그렇게 딱 해서
Yeah.
그렇게 좋은 이름을 돈 주고 맡기는 경우도 있어요.
Right. And so a good name, what would you say are the characteristics of a good name in Korean culture?
사실 저는 잘 모르거든요.
Right.
근데 그게 보통 대부분의 한국인 이름이 뭐 정, 태, 웅 이렇게 있으면 그 글자마다 한자가 있어요.
Right. And so yours does as well, right?
그렇죠.
Mm-hmm. So what is the
근데
meaning of the hancha in your name? If I'm allowed to ask. Is that
당연히 괜찮죠.
Yeah.
일단 그 정은 제 그 가족 성이고
Mm-hmm.
그리고 태는 그 크다 클 태자인데
Mm-hmm.
근데 그 크다가 그 두 개로 보일 수 있어요. 다른 이 두 개의 태가 있는데
Uh-huh.
하나는 그냥 사이즈가 크다.
Mm-hmm.
뭐 그릇이 크다. 뭐 산이 크다. 뭐 이런 크다고. 그리고 둘째는 그 아이가 자라다. 사람이 어른이 되다. 이렇게 크다도 되거든요.
Does it also carry the meaning of like wisdom? The wisdom that you get as you grow older? Or is it just sort of the fact that you've aged?
그냥 나이를 먹어가면서
Okay.
크는 건데 근데 이 다음 웅자랑 이게 결합이 되는 거거든요.
Right.
근데 이 웅이 그 웅장하다예요.
I don't know what that means.
웅장하다는 되게 그 스케일이 크고
So you mean
되게-
your name means
되게
big in two different ways?
아니죠.
Okay.
그래서 그 한자 그 태가 두 개라고 했잖아요.
Right.
근데 이 중에 제 태는 그 사이즈 크기 태가 아니라
Uh-huh.
그 자라는 태인 거예요.
Okay.
그래서 이 태웅이는 앞으로 그 웅장하게 크렴 이렇게 이 한자 이름을 준 거죠.
Okay, but what does the ung mean?
그 웅이 그 웅장하다의 웅인데
Oh yeah, I don't know what that means.
웅장하다 어떻게 표현해야 될까요? 막 음악으로 치면 그냥 막 그냥 한 명이 뭐 기타 치면서 부르는 노래가 아니라 막 거대한 오케스트라가 막 관악기 불고 막 이렇게 막 하프도 하고 막 베이스 하고 막 이런 엄청 큰 밴드가 하는 그 막 되게 거대한 음악 그런 게 웅장한 음악이에요.
That's pretty amazing.
네,
For a name.
영화 장면으로 치면 막 뭐 엄청 큰 화면에 막 엄청 큰 자연과 막 그 좀 스케일이 큰 장면이 나오는
Right.
걸 뭐 웅장하다 이렇게 하고.
So there's something, the feeling that I'm getting from the word is like something grandiose.
맞아요.
That's really cool.
정확합니다.
Yeah.
그래서 나중에 웅장하게 커라라는 뜻으로
Right.
이 이름을 준 거죠.
So would you say that your parents had high hopes for you in giving you a name like that?
당연하죠.
It just comes with the territory of being born in Korea, right?
맞아요.
Yeah.
그러니까 근데 그게 방금 그 포인트가 엄청 중요한 포인트예요. 그렇게 부모님들이 그 아이에게 이름을 줄 때 그 이 아이가 어떻게 됐으면 하는 바람을 이름에 넣어요.
Right.
네.
Yeah.
그러니까 근데 꼭 이 자식이 이렇게 돼서 엄마랑 아빠인 나한테 뭐 잘 돌려줘야지라는 것만은 아니고
Right.
그냥 진짜 이렇게 돼서 행복하게 이 아이가 자랐으면 좋겠다.
Right.
그러니까 이런 좋은 거죠.
Yeah. Yeah, in Norway names have meaning as well. And I feel like there are maybe two sort of paths that you have or two types of name.
네.
The most I don't want to say it's most common. One very common type of name is like names that come from words from nature. So types of trees, bear, like I was saying, bear is a very common name.
네.
Names of, even stone, rock, Stein is a name.
네.
It's a common name. So things from nature are very common, but then there's also like Norway has been Christian for like 1,000 years.
아, 그랬어요?
So in the early thousands, someone came
네.
through with a sword and said, if you're not going to be Christian, you're going to be dead. And so after that, Norway was very Christian. And so a lot of names come from the Bible as well.
참 슬픈 역사네요.
I know. It's
뭐 누군가한테는 기쁨의 역사일 거고.
yeah. Yeah, that happened.
네, 그렇죠. 어쨌든.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of the names are like traditionally Christian names that you'll find from the Bible.
근데 카트리나는 그러면 노르웨이 쪽이에요? 미국 쪽이에요?
It's a Norwegian name, but it's actually, I think, with Russia, came in through Russia. I'm not actually sure where it came from. And my name is very common in the little village where I was born, but it's not so, this variant of my name is not so common in the rest of Norway. Most people would say Katrine, ending it with an E. But in the village where I was born, there were several, like historically, there were several people named Katrina with an A.
어쨌든 노르웨이에도 그러면 태영처럼 카트리네가 있긴
There are
있네요.
little variations like that. That's right. Johanna, Johanne, Katrina, Katrine.
요함네.
Yeah.
그런 것도 있구나.
Yeah.
그러면 카트리나는 그 뜻이 있어요?
Yeah, it means the pure one. So something about purity.
그게 러시아어 쪽이라고 했죠.
I think so. I should have looked this up before we recorded this episode. I'm not actually sure. Yeah. But I think my parents just picked it. I don't know if it was like reflecting someone historically in the village or if they just thought the name sounded good and they picked it.
그렇죠. 그럴 수도 있고 그냥. 근데 그 한국 같은 경우는 아까 얘기했듯이 그 뭐 제 경우는 뭐 그 웅장하게 커라라는 염원을 담아 이름을 주잖아요.
Right.
근데 만약에 노르웨이 같은 경우는 크리스찬 계열의 이름을 주면 그럼 뭐 다윗 같은 사람이 되라 뭐 이러면서 데이빗을 할 수도 있는데
Yeah.
그러면 자연 계열의 이름을 주면 뭐 너는 뭐 곰같이 강한 사람이 되렴 이러고
Right.
이름을 주는 거예요?
I don't actually think that people think a lot about the meaning of names when they give their kids names here. I think it might be more about feeling like this is a name that fits this person.
네.
It's like when babies are born in Norway, people usually don't give them a name right away. And I'm not quite sure why, but sometimes it can be like several weeks or months before the baby is actually given a name. And my suspicion is, I don't have kids, so I don't know, but my suspicion is that this might be just kind of waiting to see a little bit like what this baby is like so that you can give them a name that feels right for that person.
좋아요. 일단 노르웨이 근데 일단 노르웨이는 아기가 태어날 때 미리 이름을 안 정해 놓는다.
Yeah, mostly people don't come up with a name ahead of time.
이것부터 한국이랑 정말 다르네요.
Right.
네. 거기다가 막 몇 달이 지나도 안 지을 때가 있다.
Oh yeah, there's a
거죠.
law. Like this happens so often that there's a law in Norway that says that if you have not given your baby a name 6 months after it has been born, you're gonna get a fine. Like it's a pretty significant fine, and the baby is gonna be registered with the mother's family name and no first name, no given name.
에?
They
그러면
automatically
어떻게, 에?
register the child with no first name, which can cause problems later.
그러면 뭐 나중에 다시 이름을 만들어요?
Yeah, you can always, make a name. It's quite easy to change your name in Norway. Like you literally just log into a website and say I want to change my name, and then mostly that's fine. If you do it again before 10 years have passed, it'll have to pass an actual review process.
네.
But like it's fairly straightforward to change your name here.
그게 그럼 만약에 카트리나 주위에도 그렇게 그 날 때 이름을 받지 못한 사람이 있었어요?
Yeah. So there's someone I know very, very well who
네.
was named after his grandfather. And it's a very old-fashioned name. And he grew up not liking his name at all. And so when he was about 30, I think, 29 or 30 years old, he decided that he wanted a completely different name. And so he just went in and registered a completely different name and told everybody that now that's what you're going to call me. And some people in his family were quite unhappy about it because they felt like, I don't know, maybe it was disrespectful to his grandfather who he had been named after or something like that. But most people were kind of fine with it. Just started calling him the new name.
근데 그 할아버지 이름을 받은 분이 그러니까 부모님이 그 아기 태어날 때 이름을 안 줘서 할아버지 이름을 받았다는 말이죠.
Oh, no. So yeah, the parents were the one who decided that, we're going to name this.
말이구나.
So he has a brother, an older brother, and the older brother was named after the other grandfather. So it was like this grandfather his name was given to the one son, and then the other grandfather, his name was given to the second son.
근데 그게 사람은 태어나고 죽지만 이름은 계속 남는 시스템이네요.
Yeah.
나의 이름을 남길 수 있는.
This is actually, now that you're saying it, this is actually quite common in Norway, is to be named after like a grandfather or a grandmother. But also there's someone else. My sister changed her family name. So my mother is Norwegian and my father is American, and we both have my father's family name. And my sister works she works with farmers She's an economic consultant. Like she gives economic advice to farmers. Like she helps them plan out when they need a new farm, a new barn, or do investments or whatever. And having a foreign name, like she lives in an area that is very rural and very traditional. And it's the area where the Norwegian part of our family comes from. And so she actually chose to change her family name to use the traditional Norwegian name from my mother's side instead of using the American name. And this made a really big difference in her contact with the farmers.
그렇죠.
Like
그렇죠.
being seen as someone who's from the area.
와, 그런 경우에는 되게 차이가 크겠네요, 진짜로. 참 한국에서는 그 되게 생각할 필요 없는 문제거든요. 그 성이.
There aren't that many family names, are there? Do you know how many there are?
생각보다 많을걸요?
Oh, really?
네, 정확히는 모르는데 제 생각보다 되게 많았어요.
Oh, okay.
네. 근데 그 제가 아까 처음에 물어본 건 그 카트리나 주변에 그 아기 때 그 부모님이 이름을 안 지어줘서
yes.
그 자동으로 받은 이름 그 없이 된 사람 있어요?
So my cousin, she's my third cousin, and when her eldest was born, I think her eldest is 13 years old now, and the rules were slightly different, but she received a letter saying that if you don't register a name for your son really soon, your son is going to be registered with the most common first name for boys per the statistics for this year or last year, whatever it was. And so she had to actually just register a name so that he wouldn't be registered with whatever it was.
와, 근데 그러면 그 지금 13살이라고 했죠?
Yeah.
좀 그 청소년기 때 좀 화가 많이 날 수도 있지 않을까요?
I don't know. I mean, he ended up with a name that works really well for him. Like she did end up just choosing a name for him and registering it because she got the letter ahead of time, right? So the letter was saying you now have a deadline. It has to happen before this date, otherwise he'll automatically get registered with a different name.
그 제가 어릴 때 제 누나가 막 자기 이름이 마음에 안 든다고 왜 막 내 이름을 이렇게 그 안 이쁜 이름으로 지었냐고 막 그렇게 막 서러워하면서 막 이름 바꾸겠다고 잠깐 그런 적이 있거든요.
Right.
이제 그 사춘기 때.
Right.
근데 만약에 내가 노르웨이 사람인데 사춘기인데 부모님이 내가 태어날 때 이름을 안 지어줬어. 그러면 진짜 울 것 같아요. 그러면 저는.
That might be worse, yeah.
그쵸.
Yeah.
와, 그게 어떻게 이렇게 다를까요?
Yeah, I don't know.
되게 뭐랄까? 진짜 자유로운 것 같아요. 노르웨이가.
Yeah.
네.
Okay, so I have a different topic.
네.
When I started learning Thai,
네.
I was exposed to the idea that anything can be a name. And this was a completely new idea for me. So
태국에서는 또
yeah. So when I started learning Thai, I realized that one of my teachers was named Girl and one of my teachers was named Blue. And it didn't occur to me for a while to realize that those were not their real names. It was the names that everybody knew them by, but on their identity card or in their passport, there's a different name. But often their friends don't even know what their real name is. And I thought that was really amazing. Like there's the official name that sometimes people don't even like know what people's official names are, even though you've known them for a long time. And then there's the name that everybody knows you by, which could be kind of anything. Like there are definitely traditional short names. Like girl is a very traditional short name. And colors and like fruit, the names of fruits and flowers and that sort of thing are very traditional for girls. But I was watching a TV show with a lot of kids on it where they'd come and do a challenge on the show. And there were kids with names that definitely challenged my idea of what can be a name. Like there was a kid named Facebook. There was a kid named the Thai word for the male lead of a drama. So it was like, and Man U. There's a kid whose father was really into soccer and loved Manchester United. And he named his kid Man U. And at first I found that really like different and weird, but it's surprising how quickly I got used to it. Like anything can be a name. Ice cream. Ice cream is a perfectly reasonable name for a Thai boy. Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
와, 씨. 맨유랑 페이스북은 에반데요, 좀. 와. 구글도 있을 수도 있겠네요, 그러면.
Probably. Yeah, and a lot of names that are based on like where their parents met, like maybe Vegas or where they went on their honeymoon or anything that kind of was important to the parents or that they liked or whatever. I thought that was really cool.
근데 그 닉네임을 부모님이 지어주는 거였어요?
Yeah, usually it's the parents that choose it, and then people sometimes change their nickname.
그렇구나. 와. 하긴 근데 그 태국인들 그 본명이 그 엄청 길고 복잡하더라고요.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, both the given name and the family name, like they're very, very long and complicated. So it makes sense that you'd want a simple name that you can just call your friends.
네, 제가 전에 듣기로는 좀 그 태국에는 왕족이 있잖아요. 그 왕과 귀족 그런 게 있는 나라니까.
Right.
지금은 왕밖에 없나? 아무튼 근데.
There is a.
있어요.
Yeah.
근데 이제 그런 좀 높은 층의 가족일수록 그 가족 이름이 되게 막 길고 막 복잡했대요.
That makes sense actually.
네. Yeah. 이제 근데 그래서 막 이제 너도 나도 시간이 지나면서 자기 이름을 좀 더 고급스럽게 보이게 하려고
right.
다 조금씩 늘리는 거예요.
Yeah,
그래서 엄청 길어지는 거예요.
It's a race to the bottom. Yeah, that makes sense.
네.
Yeah.
그렇다고 들었습니다.
Yeah. Also, I think in Thailand, you're not allowed to have the same name as the king or a previous king or queen, I think. Whereas in Norway, that's not the case at all. The king is just, he has a very typical Norwegian name, and there are thousands of other Norwegians named the same thing as the king.
근데 뭐 그거는 이해돼요, 좀.
Yeah.
네, 그 좀 그런 그 태국 같은 경우는 그 왕과 그런 것에 대한 막 좀 존경?
Yeah, there's a lot of like rules around how to be respectful to the royal family.
네.
Yeah.
맞아요. 그렇죠. 좋습니다. 근데 그 저번에 노르웨이 왕? 노르웨이 왕족은 그 패밀리 가족 이름이 없다고 성이 없다고 하지 않았어요?
We did talk about this at one point. Yeah, the Norwegian royal family doesn't have a family name. And so I don't know how they do it now with passports and everything. But I remember hearing a story about there being a slight problem when the previous king, when he was young, he wanted to go leave the country, and didn't have a last name, but I think he wanted to travel slightly like anonymously. And so they made up a last name for him that sounded reasonable, I think. Oh, I'm totally reaching for straws. But anyway, I'm pretty sure the Norwegian royal family does not have a family name. Actually, in Norway, it's not like up until the early 1900s. I don't think many people had family names at all. There was a new law in like 1930 that said that you have to have a family name. And so at that point, most people, I mean, I think there were two sort of strategies for picking a family name. One was you pick the name of your farm, because farms typically had names. Or you go with the sort of, if your father was named John, you would be Johnson, son of John, right?
네.
Yeah.
그러면 존슨까지는 성이 없고 그냥 존슨이라는 이름만 가지고 있다가
Right.
아니 존.
Yeah, you would just be John, and then your dad might be Harold, and you would be John Haroldson, right?
그렇네요.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they still do this in Iceland.
그래요?
Where you have your given name, and then you have the family name, which is your father's. You are the daughter of your father or the son of your father.
제가 옛날에 어디서 듣기로는 그 마카다미아 알아요? 마카다미아?
Like the nut?
네.
Yeah.
그게 맥아다미아라고. 아담의 아들인가? 그렇게 들은 것 같은데.
That never occurred to me. So is that the Scottish version of this?
그러겠죠?
Right.
아니 뭐 이건 확실하지 않습니다. 너무 옛날에 들은 거라.
Yeah.
한 10년 전쯤 들은 이야기라. 아무튼 그런 걸로 알고 있는데. 그러면은 1930년이면 진짜 사실 얼마 안 됐네요.
Yeah, I was actually shocked to discover it. It's not very long ago.
와. 1930년. 그러다가 뭐 대충 패밀리 네임 만들어 이렇게 해가지고.
Yeah. But I mean, in a way, if you're just choosing the name of your farm, that's how people referred to you anyway. Like if there's, 5 people named Sven in the same village, if you want to say which Sven, you say, oh, it's the Sven from this farm. No, it's the Sven from that other farm. And so I think that's already how people were being referred to. So it just kind of was an extension of that.
와, 그러면은 만약에 요즘이었으면 뭐 스벤 깃허브, 스벤 페이스북 이럴 수도 있겠네요.
Yeah.
스벤 구글한테 가. 이렇게.
스벤 삼성.
스벤 삼성이야 그렇게는. 이렇게. 좋습니다. 참 이름. 그 한국의 경우는 이름이 좀 노르웨이도 비슷하겠네요. 아까 얘기한 거를 생각해 보면 그 좀 약간 옛날 이름.
Yeah.
좀 세련된 이름 이게 좀 있거든요.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the name will kind of date you. Like when were you born? What names were popular at certain times? There's definitely a feeling of that here as well.
맞아요.
Oh, so is your name typical?
제 이름은 클래식이요, 클래식.
It's a classic. And does it date you? Like if you okay. Yeah.
제 이름은 그러진 않아요.
Interesting.
딱 뭐 아주 옛날 이름이다도 아니고.
Right.
그리고 막 진짜 뭐 최신 이름도 아니고. 그렇다고 또 그렇게 흔한 이름도 아니에요.
Yeah. Sounds like a good name.
네, 저는 그래서 제 이름 딱 좋거든요.
Yeah.
제 생각에는 유행이 지난 것 같은 옛날인 것 같은 이름이 되는 이유가 좀 그게 그 이름을 가진 사람이 엄청 많아서인 것 같거든요. 그럼 어떤 이름이 대부분 할머니들이 가지고 있는 이름이다.
Right.
그러면은 그 이름이 좀 늙어 보이잖아요.
Right.
근데 그 할머님들께서 젊으셨을 때는 그렇게 옛날 이름처럼 안 느껴졌겠죠. 막 유행하는 이름이었겠죠. 그때.
Right, of course, yeah. And then I suppose the reason why you might stop giving people that same name is like, oh, now everybody's named that, so maybe we should choose something else.
네,
And
네,
then you end up with like a generation of people
그쵸.
with that name.
네.
Yeah.
그래서 지금 막 유행하는 지금 아기들한테 주는 유행하는 세련된 이름들도 지금 다 비슷비슷하거든요.
Oh, they are.
네.
You can definitely tell that a name is like sort of new and fresh and trendy.
지금 딱 떠오르는 건 없는데 무슨 하자가 들어간다거나
Uh-huh.
그 좀 중성적인 이름이 많아요 보통.
Okay.
네, 남자 이름인데 약간 여자 이름처럼 예쁜.
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually,
네, 그런 느낌.
that's something I was wondering about. Like, how gendered are names in Korea? Like, if you hear a name, can you usually tell if it's a boy's name or a girl's name?
제 세대까지는 그랬는데
Uh-huh.
지금 좀 어린 아이들은 약간 좀 헷갈릴 때가 있어요.
Yeah.
네. 요즘은 좀 힘드네요, 확실히.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I feel like in Norway, most names are gendered, but then there might be a few names that could go either way. I can't remember any off the top of my head right now that might work for both. But like, I have a friend whose middle name is Alexandra.
네.
And so she would be called Alex. And Alex, you have Alexandra and you have Alexander. And so both of those could be shortened to Alex. And so if you hear Alex, you might not know if it's a girl or a boy.
그렇구나. 그래서 모르는 거구나.
Yeah.
근데 그런 이름이 많지 않아요? 적은 편이에요? 그렇게 되는 이름이?
Yeah. There are quite a few names that would be shortened in a way that could be ambiguous, whether it's a man or a woman, a boy or a girl.
떠오르는 이름들이 몇 개 있긴 있는데 아무튼 좋습니다. 또 이름에 대해서 혹시 놓친 게 있을까요?
I can't think of anything.
그쵸. 이름. 근데 저는 그 카트리나가 얘기한 노르웨이의 이름 시스템이 좀 굉장히 흥미로운 부분도 있다 생각해요.
You think so?
네, 만약에 부모님이 나에게 이름을 주지 않았다면 그러면 나중에 스스로 내 이름을 만들어서 붙일 수 있는 거잖아요.
Right.
물론 한국도 내가 원하면 이름을 바꿀 수 있지만
Right.
그 경우에는 내가 태어날 때 받은 이름을 포기하는 거잖아요.
Right. Yeah.
근데 그 노르웨이의 그 경우는 어차피 받은 이름이 없으니까 나의 이름은 내가 정한다. 이렇게.
Right. Though I do think that for people who end up not receiving a name, I'm pretty sure that most parents will come up with a name and then change the baby's name before they start school. Like, I think it's pretty uncommon to end up an adult without having been given a name. I've never heard of anyone.
그러겠죠.
Yeah.
노르웨이도 다 사람 사는 곳인데.
Right.
좋습니다. 근데 또 저는 또 한국에 이런 이름 지어주는 게 전 좋아요.
Mm-hmm.
선물이잖아, 선물.
Yeah. I really like the fact that you can pick and choose the meanings that you like and put them together into a name more than in the Norwegian tradition, you just kind of pick a name and that's it.
그렇네요.
Yeah.
맞네. 그렇게 치니까 이런 좀 서구권에서는 이런 동양의 이름 짓는 게 되게 매력적으로 보일 수도 있겠어요. 그렇구나. 좋습니다. 그러면
Yeah.
카트리나도 뭐 언젠가 뭐 한국식 이름 뭐 좀 지어달라고 하세요 누구한테.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you do that though? Like, it's not so common for foreigners to pick a Korean name, but it is very common for Koreans to pick a foreign name. Like, right?
그래요?
Koreans who go to the US, generally they'll be named like, Paul or David, right?
아 이건 제 생각인데 그 한국의 이민 세대, 이민 1세대, 이민 2세대 이렇게 옛날부터 이민을 간 사람들이 그 교회 다니시는 분들이 되게 많았어요.
Oh, and so they got their Catholic name.
네. 근데 이건 제 어디까지나 제 추측이지만 봐봐요. 한국에서 머나먼 아메리카 대륙으로 갔어요. 근데 가서 한국인들이 모여 있는 곳에 낄 수 있으면 좋잖아요. 근데 그렇게 모임을 하기가 제일 좋은 이미 만들어져 있는 커뮤니티가 교회인 거예요.
Right.
그래서 교회를 원래 안 다니던 사람도 이민을 가면 교회에 가게 되는 거예요.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
네, 그런 경우가 되게 많았어요.
Right.
많다고 들었어요.
Yeah.
그러니까 이제 뭐 폴, 뭐 데이빗, 뭐
크리스.
요셉 이렇게 다 그렇게 하는 거죠. 뭐 존슨, 뭐 이렇게
Yeah.
존,
Yeah.
다 비슷비슷하게.
Yep.
그런 영향이 있는 것 같아요.
Yeah, that makes sense. So my sister is married to a man from Taiwan, and he has a name that he uses in English, and a name that he uses in Norwegian, and a name that is his name in Chinese. And on his Norwegian passport, he has his Norwegian name, like that is completely separate from the Chinese name. And I think one of the reasons that he picked a Norwegian name when he moved here is that his Chinese name would be really hard for Norwegians to remember and pronounce.
아, 그래요?
Yeah, I think so.
근데 맞네. 그런 경우에는 막 그 노르웨이어로 그 한자 이름을 발음을 쓰는 것도 어려울 수도 있겠네요.
Yeah, and you wouldn't get the tone, right? And so
네.
it might get awkward if you're always getting your name pronounced with the wrong tone.
맞아요. 그렇죠. 사실 저도 제 이름이 좋다고 했지만 딱 그 한 부분이 좀 아쉽습니다. 외국인들이 발음하기 어려워하는 그.
Oh, yeah. In English?
네.
Yeah.
그 쓰는 게 어려워요. 그 로마니제이션을 하기가 좀
Oh, yeah.
까다로워요.
Because are you just going to say U-N-G, or is it going to be W, or is it O-O? Like, how do you usually romanize the last syllable?
그 뭐 태는 뭐 TAE라고 쓰고
Yeah.
그 웅을 WOONG라고 쓰거든요.
Yeah, but then if people are reading it, they're going to say wung.
네, 웅 이렇게 하고
Yeah.
네, 또 막 그 영어만 쓰는 외국인이 있는 게 아니니까 뭐 아시아권이나 뭐 다른 외국인 중동 쪽이나 뭐 그런 분들이 보면 뭐 왕이라고 하고.
Yeah.
네, 그래서 근데 그런 분들은 가끔 태도 좀 발음을 다르게 하시는 분들이 좀 있거든요.
Oh, really? What other pronunciations do you get?
태왕이라고 해요.
태왕.
그래서 나 되게 내가 무슨 뭐
emperor.
내가 되게 중국인 같아 보일 수도 있겠다.
Yeah.
이런 생각이 들더라고요.
Yeah.
네. 아무튼 그렇습니다. 참 이름을. 근데 그렇다고 또 영어 이름을 따로 가지고 싶진 않아요.
No. Yeah, I totally get that. I would
Yeah.
actually love to have a Korean sounding name. I feel like my name is kind of fine in Korean, but it's really long. Like
카트리나.
it gets a lot of syllables.
카트리나 정도면 그래도 발음하기 쉬우니까.
It's fine.
그렇죠. th 발음도 없고
Yeah,
만약에
yeah.
뭐
Yes.
뭐,
So, and it doesn't
네.
mean anything weird. Like I remember
그쵸.
there was someone named Carl who said when he moved to Korea, he had to pick a Korean name because he couldn't be walking around being named Kal.
네. 칼.
예.
그렇죠. 그럼 그럼 칼을이라고 하든가. 근데 그러면
Kal을. Yeah.
근데 그러면 본인 이름을 말하기 어려울 수도 있어요.
Right.
네. 칼 뭐 그리고 아니면 뭐 캐시 이런 경우는
Yeah.
뭐 캐시라고 해야 될지 캐티라고 해야 될지 뭐
Yeah.
캐티 그 좀 헷갈리잖아요.
Yeah, yeah.
네.
Yeah, so if it's already not going to really feel like your name, maybe you can come up with something completely brand new that sounds more, I don't know,
네.
culturally, no, I don't want to say culturally appropriate, but more similar to what you would have around you.
네. 맞습니다. 그러면 만약에 뭐 카트리나가 그 뭐 나는 이런 사람이다. 뭐 아니면 내 앞으로의 내 인생은 이렇게 되면 좋겠다. 나는 이걸 좋아한다. 이런 게 있으면 저한테 알려주시면
Okay.
제가 한자를 좀 조합해서 이름을 만들어 드릴 수도 있습니다.
Very exciting. Okay, cool.
기꺼이 선물로. 네.
네.
그리고 뭐 이걸 보시는 외국인 구독자님들도 만약에 좀 원하는 그런 이름이 있으면 그 좀 설명을 남겨주시면 제가 대충 찾아본다고 했어요. 대충 찾아서 이름을 지어드릴 수도 있으니까 아니면 또 다른 한국인 구독자분들이 지어주실 수도 있으니까
Nice.
좀 댓글 남겨주시면 되겠습니다. 그러면 이번 에피소드는 너무 늦어지기 전에 이쯤에서 마무리할까요?
Yeah, let's call it a day.
네, 뭐 적절히 한 것 같습니다. 카트리나님은 또 다음 달에 에피소드로 돌아오겠고요. 저는 다음 주에 지프와 함께 또 돌아오겠습니다. 그럼 저는 지금까지 하프앤하프의 정태웅이었습니다. 감사합니다.
And I'm Katrina, and you have been listening to Half and Half. Bye bye.